Hey, welcome to the second course video for the song Leave the City from 21 Pilots in their 2018 album Trench. This was the closing track. I'm musically malnourished, by the way, and you're on my journey to go deep and wide in discovering new music and artists. In these videos, we do a deep dive into the lyrics and meaning behind the music. So there's some good stuff here. Let's get in, see what's going on. Leave the City closes the album with a declaration to escape Dima. In the big picture, as it relates to the album, this song describes Tyler Joseph coming to terms with the fact that battling a mental health problem takes time and that the path to addressing it is not always straightforward. Knowing that, he promises to stay alive through it all. Musically, the song features slightly modified and restrained vocals, a strong piano part, light drumming, and electronic instrumentation that has been heard throughout the album. The music eventually builds to a peak as Tyler sings of his decision to one day leave the city. The last few words on Leave the City are, "They know what I mean." That song, not only is it inside of the narrative, but in that narrative, I knew that I needed to leave somewhere and start a journey in this point in between two places that a lot of us can find ourselves in. Whatever version of that fits into your life, we're always trying to dance in between these two places. How do we get there? And it's scary. And you don't know what to expect, and it's kind of hard to see. But this record is about pushing through and starting that journey between those two places. And I would never in this record, and I did not define what that where you're supposed to be is. There's no name for it. That's not defined. And that was intentional. To be in part of that process, I knew this record was about getting up and starting that. And I'm not going to find that thing on this record yet. And that's what this song Leave the City does. It gets you there, and then it doesn't. It kind of drops you off, and you're like, okay. In an interview, he said, "This song is definitely about losing faith, which I've been working through on this record. It's something that may have moved the needle for me during the last record and touring cycle." I do real quick before we get up into the lyrics, I want to hop over. It is a bit of a lengthy article, but I do think it will be good to just keep us deep diving into this song. And so I don't know if any of what he just shared is going to be repeated on this, but let's take a look together. This is Alternative Press. 5 records in, and you would think that 21 Pilots' Tyler Joseph would have gotten into a comfortable groove by now. Kick back and reap the rewards of all his and Josh Dunn's hard work. Spend some money, sleep in until 3 p.m., and when he does descend into his home studio, maybe he can lighten up and write songs about how hard it is to be in a successful band. Of course, anyone who's been paying attention knows that Joseph's art is fueled by his psychic quest for answers, reasons, and possibilities about the travails of modern living. It was only a matter of time until Joseph would delve further into his psyche, examining a central core of his life. Leave the City, the closing track from the recently released Trench, connects the singer's story of Trench to his Christian belief system in a way that is solemn and poignant. Packing the emotional devastation of a lullaby song in a war-torn country and the deliberation of rebuilding a life after irreversible trauma, the song lays many of Joseph's questions about God, existentialism, and his place in the universe for everyone to see or feel. There's not a song on TOP's Aurora that will bore into a listener's heart the way Leave the City does. I really thought, quoting here, "It was a great way to close the record," he says. "Once I started creating the song, I knew that I wasn't going to name the place I'm going. I'm talking about the world I'm from. I'm talking about the world I'm traveling through. But I never really reached the place I'm trying to get to. It's not because I'm holding on to some secret. You're looking at someone who's still trying to figure out where that place is." The song is definitely about losing faith, which I've been working through on this record. And so this is part of what we just read. Trench is like saying, I found the sense that I was there, but actually saying, guys, I know where it is, follow me, and you're going to come to our show and I'll tell you about it. I don't have that yet. But the very end of the song, it says, these faces facing me, they know what I mean. That's me on stage, looking at them, maybe, at least for the record. That was the place I was trying to get to all along. I still think I'm going to answer that question, and I'm going to know, and when I know for sure what's the end goal, where am I going? Is there heaven? Is there hell? Is there a God? And the process I've been on for this record is the closest I've been to. He pauses for a brief moment, entertaining a world where there isn't a God. And that's total transparency. And that is hard to say. It's a new struggle for me, but I really want to own it. Joseph's inner dialogue regarding matters of belief isn't as controversial as, say, those belonging to some members of Under Oath, whose personal experiences changed their spiritual points of view. There are both scholars and followers who openly admit that a crisis of faith is something necessary in order to re-examine your relationship with a higher power. But Joseph's raison d'etre has never been served by making ordinary armchair gestures, which makes Leave the City even more poignant. And I think it's important too. You know, you hear this word deconstruct a lot, and I think that that's where people have this system of belief built up, and they begin to kind of dismantle the whole thing. I heard somebody use the word detangle, which I think is, I really love that word. And I've had to do detangling, you know, I've suffered spiritual abuse. It didn't look like abuse at the time, but authority structures that were unhealthy, that set a way of thinking and acting for me that I came to realize I don't like that. And I don't think that it's good. And I don't think that it's godly. And so for me, it wasn't a deconstructing of my faith, because I love Jesus with all of my heart. I love his word. He's been so good to me. It's everything to me. And so I don't want to deconstruct all that. So in the midst of this, like, I love Jesus, so let me untangle some of these things, and I'll find some things along that I'm like, oh, that's not Jesus. And I love that idea. And it is, and I talked about this in a different video, I think in one of the live streams, that it's okay, you know, and I think his honesty of what he said there, that's total transparency, and it's hard to say. It's a new struggle for me, but I really want to own it. I think in the same way that Tyler can delve into the ideas of Dima and work through it and stay like, I'm still here, is empowering. I didn't take the easy way out. I'm still figuring things out, but I'm here. In the same way, I don't think he's like, he's not just saying like, no, there is no God, I don't believe in God, that stuff's crap. I think he's saying like, I'm struggling, but I'm here, and I'm still working through it, and I'm still holding on to it. And because even down here, as we'll get to in a second, he said, I still believe in God. And I think that is so beautiful and empowering for people, because how many people out there have the same struggles, the same questions, the same wonders, and to see somebody else say, hey, I'm there too, but I still believe in God. He even says, like, I still want to call myself a Christian because I am a Christian, but I have questions. And to come out on the other side of that ultimately victorious is, I think, really empowering for people that feel in the same place. So I still believe in God, he acknowledges. I still want to call myself a Christian because I am a Christian. I don't know how to talk to people about it yet. And if I can't talk to other people about it yet, or if I don't know exactly why I should talk to other people about it, does it really mean anything to me then? If I don't truly have the answer, shouldn't I just be talking about that? But I have to get there first. Because Joseph has built a career out of eloquent articulation as opposed to shock and transgression, both his profession of faith as well as its perceived shortcomings come off as a quest for knowledge and understanding. Bob Dylan's 1964 classic, With God on Our Side, discusses how cultures claim exclusivity to a higher power to rationalize war. Tyler Joseph doesn't draw a line in the sand either way. He's wondering if there's a deity to lay claim to in the first place. It's a completely necessary part of making this my faith, he continues. But I can't totally see it. It's just a stop along the way. Because, hey, the days I don't think about him, I'm fine. It's not like supernatural things are happening at every turn. And I think, well, I can't describe that other than it's God. And that didn't happen the whole album cycle. We just got up and worked and created and moved on. While songwriters can reflect on a myriad of thoughts, stories, and this is the writer, edicts and manifestos through their art, it does take a patient soul to process possibilities that have the propensity to negative previously held values. This is not something Joseph will ever stop pursuing, regardless of whatever byproducts of success he interacts with. Like he sings, "In time, I will leave the city. For now, I will stay alive." Quoting him again, "Seeing the successes in blurry face, is that something that changed in me?" he wonders aloud. "I can't see it as a stop because I have to fully believe I just might have to stay there. But once I live here more, when I make it out of Trench and I get to where I'm going and I know what that name is, I wonder then if I'll be more bold in my faith and what our purpose is being here." All right, let's hop back over and work through this together. "I'm tired of tending to this fire. I've used up all I've collected. I have singed my hands. Its glowing embers barely showing proof of life in the shadows, dancing on my plans." The fire that Tyler describes could mean many things. It could represent the effort that Tyler puts into his music and his struggles with writer's block, which he details in Pet Cheetah. He's used up all the musical ideas he collected, and now he's finished with the album. However, this fire could also represent Tyler's battle against mental illness. The city that is mentioned later in the song is most likely an allegory for mental illness. I mean, not most likely, it is. I think it has multiple meanings. In the bridge, Tyler says that he will leave the city, but for now will stay alive. Put into context with this line, the fire symbolizes Tyler's effort to heal from his mental illness. Although he hasn't completely given up, for now, it's enough to simply be alive. Also, in a car, a torch of death, the torch represents prayer. Because of this, the fire could be faith-based. On the cover of the self-titled album, in the song "The Judge," and throughout this album, the light bulb has a negative association. From a faith perspective and based on the culmination of evidence, the flame is associated with God, prayer, and faith, while the light bulb is representative of someone trying to control and contain the uncontrollable light. I'm curious of this too. "Dancing on my plans. The hope conferred by the fragile campfire Tyler has successfully lit in Trench contests whatever plans Tyler might have been entertaining to surrender, give up, or voluntarily return to Dima. Knowing that Tyler's lyrics often refer to self-harm and suicide, it's likely the fire referred to it in this stanza is successfully interfering with his temptation to self-harm or take his own life. Whatever plans he might have made to hurt himself, the fire undermines those plans. Whatever he might need in order to keep going, to stay, the fire provides that." Yeah, right, this proof of life in the shadows. Tyler made it clear in an interview with Alternative Press that the word "they" refers to his fans. Okay, see, I was thinking "they" was speaking of the bishops because they know that it's almost over, meaning like that the fire might go out, but this says something a little different. The line also references that the end of something significant is near. Whether this is the end of hope, the end of fear, or the end of Trench era is up for interpretation. Tyler explained to Beats One that this album doesn't end in a definitive place or tell you where you should be. As we've seen from the band's previous two albums, a muted piano ballad with a slow tempo means the end of the record. Yeah, I mean, I think it has a number of different meanings. So, yeah, they know, I guess, it's speaking to the clique. Because it obviously is the close of the album. So, like, the album's almost over, but also speaking to, but I'm just curious what it is. It his fight? Is it like the breakthrough, the winning. I don't know. Share your thoughts with me in the comments. The burning is so low, it's concerning because they know that when it goes out, it's a glorious gone, which obviously is speaking. I talked about this in the React. The glorious gone is essentially what becomes the neon gravestones. Tyler could be talking about the flame of the Holy Spirit in him. He's saying that it's concerning how weak his belief has become since he's a Christian. Tyler has struggled with his beliefs for a while now, and this seems to be another example of his faith weakening. The calls back to the judge where he says 3 lights are lit, but the 4th one's out, which can represent the Trinity of God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit being lit, but him, the 4th light, lacking any flame or light. That's interesting. As well, a similar theme appears in Bandito when he says, but I recently discovered it's a heatless fire. This relates to the idea of neon gravestones, where those who have committed suicide gain superficial attention like neon lights, but lack the burning of a real flame. They know when it goes out, it's a glorious gone. Also seems to relate to the idea in neon gravestones that when it goes out, a person gives up their belief in their life, it's a glorious gone, meaning they gain lots of attention, their suicide glorified. Additionally, Tyler may be referring to a rhetorical device sometimes found in the New Testament, notably in the famous parable about the house built on sand. The one who hears and does not do them is like a man who built his house on the ground without a foundation. When the stream broke against it, it immediately fell, and the ruin of that house was great. Similarly, when Tyler's fire goes out, its absence will be great or glorious, that it will have massive repercussions. It's only time before they show me why no one ever comes back. I don't know. I went to that side. I want to read this. So this is from that same interview. The existence of soul after death, commonly referred to as the afterlife or heaven, the latter being the more common definition. This line shows Tyler's questioning how throughout history there's never been a proven case of a person from beyond coming back to show its existence and the reality behind his beliefs. Yeah, if you have any more insight on this, it's only time before they show me. Drop your thoughts in the comments. So yeah, obviously this is indicative of him continuing to fight. Like he's not going anywhere. Last year is most likely talking about the touring Tyler did for the album Blurry Face from May 2016 to June 2017 as the emotional roadshow and tour to Columbus. He wrote in Stressed Out, released as part of Blurry Face, about the stress that increased fame had brought on him as an artist. The band then took what was termed the hiatus until September of 2018, a break which Tyler deemed very necessary. After the touring of Blurry Face era, in an interview during this break, Tyler wrote Pet Cheetah. As he begins to close Trench, he looks back on these periods. Tyler uses a triple meaning to discuss his feelings towards being far from home, a reference to his literal home as well as Dima and his home in heaven. As a Christian, Tyler believes Earth is a temporary home. Okay, he's far from death and therefore far from entering into heaven. Yet he's not alone in his journey there. He's journeying towards his eternal home, but he's comforted by the support he receives. These lines also relate to the story of running through the album. While most call Dima home, as Clancy once did, Tyler knows his true home is the trench and that he will always return. More literally, he articulates his attitude toward returning to touring. He is once again far from home and the people and places associated with it, which could easily lead to a sense of loneliness and alienation. However, he's comforted by the sense of community that the band's listeners have established and continue to foster. In the second line, he mentions a place called Trench. Trench is a long, narrow ditch that provides shelter from enemy fire, typically associated with warfare. This reference further reiterates the sense of community support that is present within the fan base. Just as Trench provides shelter from attacks from the enemy, 21 Pilots fans are known for their dedication to the band and to each other, Soldiers in trenches are known to often display immense camaraderie, perseverance despite the dire, life-threatening situation they face. Many fans are united in the battle against internal struggles such as fears, insecurities, mental illness, further emphasizing the war association. Tyler, in turn, feels supported by this network and has confidence that no matter how far from home his music takes him, he's never truly alone. Well, and obviously in the same sense, right? Like working through it together. We're learning, we're growing, we're fighting together. Speaking about those facing him, the clique, they know what I mean. Man, what a deep and interesting close to the album. A wonderful nod to his fans. Always love that he does that. Well, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks for being with me for this one. I hope to see you in the next one, because now it's over to Scaled and Icy. We're eating good.